Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Gila Glassberg. Today I wanted to dive into the principles of intuitive eating and just explain how I like to categorize them. I get a lot of questions about what intuitive eating is, and is it just sort of like a diet that tells you eat whatever you want and accept yourself at that size. And I just really want people to know that that's really not what it is. So I know that Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch, the authors of Intuitive Eating, are very clear that you can go in any order that works for you, and that the principles are principles and they're guidelines, they're not rules. But I've categorized them in a way that I feel works really well with most people. And I think it explains the process really well. So I just wanted to explain that today, and it will be on my YouTube channel and on my podcast. And I hope that this helps you get started on the intuitive eating process, even just plant some seeds. So there are 10 principles of intuitive eating, and this is how I like to work with my clients or in my group settings. And please feel free to change it up or do a little research, read the books, read the workbook. Don't just go in blindsided. Like, I really want you to have a little bit of information so that you can understand. Like, I know that before people even look into intuitive eating, I think they need a little bit of education on what it really is and what it's there to accomplish. So principle number one is reject the diet mentality. And I say that this principle runs throughout the entire theme of intuitive eating, and you have to work on it as you go along the process the entire time, because as we know, diet mentality is everywhere. The diet mentality is telling you you're not good enough at the size that you're at, no matter what size that you are. It's telling you that you need to lose weight in order to be happy, to find love, to be healthy. And we know now, based on research, that that's not true. So you need to find where diet culture is in your life and learn how to reject it. Now, it could take a long time to reject it, and I feel like I'm still rejecting it. When things come up, I have to remind myself that's diet culture. Like, I recently decided on Instagram I don't want to use filters, and I feel like that is giving into diet culture, and that was something that was a step that I took. But everybody will have a different place or stage that they are going to do with that principle. The next thing I like to work on are the principles honoring your hunger, feeling your fullness or respecting your fullness, and the satisfaction factor. I do this because I find that it's very hard to differentiate between physical hunger and emotional hunger if we're not sure what physical hunger and physical fullness feels like. And I believe that dieting turns off those cues, because a chronic dieter is always told what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat by the diet. So if they start feeling any sense of physical hunger, they'll be like, oh, but it's 12 o'clock and I'm only supposed to eat every 3 hours and I just ate 1 hour ago. So then they're like, okay, I'll ignore it until it gets to a ravenous number, 0 or 1 on the hunger fullness scale. And anybody at that number is probably going to binge or crave food or think about food a lot. So I like to really put that into place and have my clients practice using the hunger fullness scale to understand, am I hungry? Is it emotional? I try to get them to eat every 2 to 3 hours, not because of a diet, just because biologically we need to eat every 2 to 3 hours. So it's very hard to know, am I eating, am I craving food because I just had gotten into a fight with my husband, or I'm really just physically hungry. And the more that you feed yourself when you're hungry and stop when you're full, the more your body learns to trust that you are taking good care of it. And the satisfaction factor plays into those principles, because it's very important to eat foods that we enjoy. That's kind of like our body saying, like, yes, this is good for me. So, and that doesn't just mean physically enjoy it. It also means, does it physically enjoying while we're eating it also means, does it feel good after I eat? So for example, my daughter came home from a Hanukkah party and she was like, my stomach really, really hurts. And I asked her, what did she eat? And she said, I ate 2 donuts and 2 latkes. And I was like, wow, like sometimes fried food really hurts my stomach also. And now when she's about to eat fried food, she'll say like, oh, I only want to eat a few bites, or I only want to eat 1 donut, and that's totally fine. And she could eat 2 if she wants. She just knows it might hurt her stomach. And fried food, we just know on a biological level, all that oil into your stomach, it's very hard for your stomach to digest. So it's just understanding how your body works and what feels good and what doesn't. And that, again, takes practice. And I talk about the satisfaction a lot, and we always go back to, is it hunger, fullness? Is it physical? Is it emotional? But we first have to understand what is physical hunger. Then I do a whole part on self-care, because I know from experience and from my clients that if we are not taking care of ourselves, we're not meeting our needs, then food becomes much more rewarding, because it is your only pleasure source in the entire day. You get into a fight with your husband and you never have time to yourself and your kids are screaming, and you eat a cup of ice cream and it's the most satisfying thing in the entire world, and you think you're addicted to ice cream, but you're not. You're just not sleeping enough. You're not going for walks. You're not getting job satisfaction. Some other thing is lacking in your life. So that's really, really important. So we do a whole we do a whole week on self-care, and I feel like that really does help people understand like when they're eating for self-care because they're not getting it in other ways, or when they're eating for self-care because we have to eat in order to live, right? Okay, then I move on to the emotional aspects of eating, which is challenging the food police. So this is where we talk about your automatic negative thoughts and the food police, and then we talk about the other polices in your life, which is your own self-criticism, and this plays into so many areas of your life, and this is where intuitive eating integrates into all types of things in your life. And we learn that who's been criticizing you your whole life. Is it you? Is it from your mother? Is it from your father? Is it from society? Is it diet culture? That's where diet culture comes back. And then we also talk about coping with your emotions without using food. And that's a really powerful step where we realize, like I just said before, that self-care we might be lacking. So the only way that we care for ourselves is by eating. So what else can you be doing? Do you need to be journaling, meditating, going out with friends? Learning your own love language and learning to give it to yourself. Are you stuck in the victim mentality? Do you have poor boundaries with other people and that's making you eat because you don't know what else to do? That's your only form of pleasure. That's your only form of control. It's a very powerful step. We move on to respecting your body. This is where we notice not just how our body looks, but what our body has done for us. Has it birthed a healthy baby? Does it allow you to walk? Does it allow you to work? It's a very powerful step, and it is a hard step, but we talk about ways to respect our body, getting rid of the scale, getting rid of clothes that don't fit us. And that helps with the food police. That helps us stop criticizing ourselves. They all tie in together. It's a beautiful thing. Then we talk about joyful movement and gentle nutrition as forms of self-care, ways to care for yourself. Movement can be so powerful. I know for myself, my therapist says that exercise is my antidepressant. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel strong. It makes me feel powerful, and I love it. And there's so many different types of exercise, and the intuitive eating workbook has a whole list, and it's really amazing to go through that list and try new things, and it can be really, really fun. Gentle nutrition also, like I said before with my daughter overeating the donuts because that didn't feel good. So we talk about things that could help you feel fuller longer. We talk about things that might not hurt your stomach, because just because everybody has a different thing that might hurt their stomach. I know I have a sensitive stomach, and that could be a very powerful way to take care of ourselves. Eating enough food, eating foods that you enjoy, the satisfaction factor, eating foods that help you move your bowels. Like, I mean, as a dietitian, that's what we talk about. So that's also a really powerful tool for self-care. And it's all the way at the end. So we do not adapt it as a diet because, as we know, this is the anti-diet, and I'm never going to put you on a diet. It's not like, now we get to nutrition, like here it comes. No, never. And then the last thing I like to do is making peace with food. Rena Reiser taught me this, and she says that once we've incorporated all the principles into our life, coming face to face with a food that gives us fear is much easier to do, and we habituate. Just like when you first get married, it's much more exciting. Just like when you first get a car, it's much more exciting, and then that fades away sometimes. It's the same with food. Cake wouldn't be so excited if you let yourself have it when you wanted it. Candy wouldn't be so excited. Ice cream wouldn't be so exciting. And some people even have to grieve the fact that food isn't so exciting. And that's when we go back to self-care. Like, yeah, because it's there to nourish you, and other things can nourish you too. So what's nourishing you? So this is my summary of a lot of content, 10 principles. I hope you'll read the book. I hope you'll get the workbook, and I hope you'll listen to my podcast. And there's so many other good podcasts: Rena Reiser's, Christy Harrison, Paige Smathers, Hey Tiffany Rowe, Rachel Tuckman's amazing, Evelyn Tribbley, Elise Rush, all these people, they have such good content. And I hope that this helped you, and I hope that it planted seeds, and I hope that it's getting you excited to start your own intuitive eating journey. Okay, have a great day. Bye.